have Will Peasy with us this week on the Artist Spotlight, Stop, Look, and Listen, GOB Radio Network. Now, the face looks familiar to you all. So he was the very first guest of Stop, Look, and Listen. What, about 9 months ago? A lot has changed since then.
Yeah, it was at the height of the global pandemic. So that was about 8-9 months ago.
Exactly. So Will has a new LP out called Free Will, available on your streaming platforms.
Right, y'all check that out. Get that.
14 tracks. How does it feel?
Oh man, it's been a long journey. If anybody has followed me musically, they know that I'm not someone who drops an album every year, even every 2 years. So for me to put in work to drop an album. So it feels great, man. It's years and years of work, production, and there are a lot of people that I worked with on this album, man, that I wanted them to see their work.
All right, so we'll touch on Free Will a little bit later, but first off, let me hit you with the brown sugar question. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
When did I fall in love with hip hop? Let's see. When I heard Shook Ones by Mobb Deep.
Right.
My sister came from up north. I have a stepsister, a half sister, and I really wasn't into rap music. 6th grade, I think, and she brought the whole culture down with her, and I slowly began getting into it. But it wasn't until I really heard Mobb Deep that I was like, man, this music here, this is it. This is where it's bumping. I bought Shook Ones, I bought the instrumental, I actually bought that whole LP, from Mobb Deep. It might have been the first actual hip hop LP that I actually bought of my own. And then slowly the South started leaking in, so I started buying a lot of Outkast, a lot of Goody Mob. But since I went to school down here, and since I'm, side of hip hop, there was always Scarface, which we were always listening to down here. 8 Ball and MJG, 3-6 Mafia, when they had Tear the Club Up, was big down in the city. So, we've been into it.
Right. So are those pretty much most of the artists that inspired you, or did you tap into other genres as well, like some rock or some R&B, soul, as far as your inspirations?
My father raised me on the blues, and solely the blues. Actually, there wasn't much other music except for gospel music in the crib. But I came up on a lot of Howlin' Wolf, Sonny Boy Williamson, Lightning Hopkins, Muddy Waters. We would ride. He worked at South Carolina State College, and I went to Felton Laboratory, so we would ride all the way from Orangeburg to Columbia, man, bumping the blues, and Chuck Berry, a little bit of rock and roll there. But I would say influence. Probably, like I tell most people, my influence came from the more conscious rappers of the game, whose lyrics, I guess, spoke more towards current events than anything else. So I was influenced a lot by people like Talib Kweli, Mos Def, Pharoah Monch, artists like that just seemed to more fit along the line of the type of artist that I could be. I was always an artist that said, I wasn't hood, I wasn't street, I wasn't a thug dude, so I couldn't be out there rapping about that type of stuff. My content couldn't have that in it. And those type of rappers, embodied subject matter that I could relate to.
Okay, so at what point did you discover your talent? And how did your parents feel about that newfound hobby of yours?
Oh, discover the talent. Yeah, man, I was about 16. I ran into some high school classmates that were rapping down in West Columbia. And one of them had this studio set up on DAT tapes and a little microphone in the corner. And, I was real cool with him. And he said, come in here and start rapping. And man, we just started rapping and it just came. It wasn't a struggle. Like I've heard a lot of people who say they struggle with writing and struggle with rhyming and delivering and everything else. But I never had that issue. And that's probably why I stuck with it, because I once heard a quote that said, make sure you focus intently on the things that you do better than others. I'm not saying I'm better than most or better than others, but people who've heard me have always said that they liked what I was doing, so I just kept at it.
Okay, nice. And how did your parents feel about finding out that one that you're a rapper, and did you ever express any interest in being a recording artist?
Yeah, I don't think my parents took it too seriously. They're academics, so it was mostly schoolwork. Most of the things that were extracurricular, they didn't really delve into like that. But they weren't unsupportive. They just weren't as into it as most would expect. But I dropped the album in 2007, my first solo album, actually called "Where There's a Will, There's a Way," and my parents are actually on that album. So they came to the studio and they laid vocals down and everything on a song called "Walk with Me." I don't know if y'all listened to it, but if you haven't, check it out.
Oh, so you briefly touched on, um, I guess, forming a group with some of your high school friends. Just
Mhm.
talk about the Columbia hip hop scene, and like how most people from the outside would think that it would be a crunk down south 808 type scene, but no, it's to the contrary. It's East Coast boom bap, New York hip hop, 90s
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah. That was that's one of the interesting things about the Met. That's that, the trap side, definitely, man. There are a lot of dope artists out here. But I would say that when it started, man, like hip hop around here, just it kept a hold of a lot of the East Coast influence, coming from up north. I wouldn't even say it was really infiltrated much by West Coast music. It really stayed close to the East Coast. And a lot of the artists around here, if you ask them who they were influenced by, a lot of them will name up north East Coast artists. And we had clubs down here. There was one in particular down in West Columbia, actually called New Brooklyn Tavern, where a lot of the Columbia artists would come in, and most of them were hip hop artists. Man, there were very few rap artists. Pimp C once said, this ain't hip hop music. These are down south country tunes, so separate us from the rest. I think it's important to know you got down south rap artists and you got down south hip hop artists. They're two different genres of the music. But here in Columbia, man, you can find a lot of hip hop, down south hip hop artists, uh, which I would say is rare. I would say is rare. I don't think I found anything like that geographically, anyway, in my career, where you got down south people who are focused on being hip hop artists versus, southern rap artists.
Exactly. And I mean, I was a frequent visitor of the New Brooklyn Tavern with you and with Horace Eclipse Smith, because you're
Yeah,
both from Columbia. And,
yeah.
just being around the group of fellows like Shakise and Kingpin and
Mhm.
Dan and Fat Rat,
Action. Yeah.
Action, Superstition, the whole nine. It was almost like, wow, it's an awakening.
Yeah, man. And they were hot, man. I mean, they made classic, timeless music. It was right around then, man, that I went away to school. I always wondered what would have happened if I'd have stayed down here. But right around when the scene was getting, they were developing venues and people were getting out there and putting out music. Um, I went away, man. I dipped to Rock Hill.
Yeah, so you dipped the Rock Hill to attend Winthrop University, and that's where we met, which we covered in the previous interview on Stop, Look, and Listen. Just speak on the surprisingly strong hip hop culture during our days at Winthrop University.
I was blown away, man. Truly blown away. Like, I remember the first real cipher that I stepped into was in Thompson he was a basketball player. I think his name was Fish, D Fisher or something, light skinned, tall dude. But man, he had the whole floor jumping and that's where I met Derek from To The Realness
Hmm.
and all of that and the movement that they had, which was super strong on campus. Actually, Derek's studio, his dorm room was the first time I saw a true to life, state of the art studio with computers. We didn't have computers like that back when we were
Right.
starting out as freshmen, but he had computers, he had microphones, he had the whole nine. I was thoroughly impressed. And then you had people like Mahogany Dane and Wayne and Cabulary and everybody out there just and wanted to rap and enjoy rapping, and would do it for hours and hours on end. I mean, you remember the nights that we would spend in the dorm rooms, man, passing tape recorders around and just ciphering for hours and hours over instrumentals. And that never died, man. That went all into the senior year. And you know, I've never been in a culture like that before, and have never seen it again. Where people were just that avid about rap music and hip hop music. Even if you didn't rap, you know, you had a love for hip hop, and the ciphers were always crowded, surrounded by people who didn't rap but just wanted to listen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much talent. Even a lot of the names that you didn't mention, like Avery, Blank Check, Kid, and
Short,
Short, Ro-
Promise.
Promise, Roger.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, who else? Um, Q, my radio host on the Good Old
yeah.
Boys.
Q
Yes,
had bars, definitely. There
yeah.
was a
So
lot out there, man. The talent was, it was endless. You know, I hate that we didn't do more with that. You know, I feel like we should have put out like a compilation type of thing. But you know, I think a lot of it still shows, especially when we used to do our homecoming ciphers.
yeah.
Knowing everybody would come back and drop bars. It showed where they are now. You can only imagine where they were back then.
I mean, it's never too late to do that. I mean, I think that's something that Jay Pragg probably could spearhead. Because of his ties.
Yeah, yeah.
Align most of the rappers from our era with some producers and put together, a compilation.
It would be nice, man. I'm gonna holler at Prad, see if
Yeah.
he's willing to get down.
Shouts to Pragg doing major things. So just talk about your collaboration co-ops with my former radio co-host,
Yeah.
Mr. Pilgrim, Young Promisito, Promise
Shout out,
Young. You got
shout
like
out
a
to P
got like
Gritty.
100 names, he said.
100 names, promise, 100 names. Yeah, man.
So
Shout out
just
to
talk,
Gritty.
yeah. So talk about that. How you two started collaborating, and like whether we will see more work in the future.
Yeah, well, you know, when I left Columbia, like I said, I was a part of a group down here, you know, and I never wanted to be part of a group again. I actually, as most people know, I'm a real solo, dolo introvert, alone type of dude. But there was a mutual producer that we had, JR. And he was making beats for, you know, for me, and he was making beats for Promise. And he was like, man, y'all need to listen to each other. So he let me hear a song that he produced with Promise, but he wouldn't tell me who it was rapping. He was like, I just want you to listen, because you know the first thing people can do is just start hating, like, ah, no, I don't like it. I don't even like it. They didn't even give it a shot. He's like, I ain't even gonna tell you who it is until it was over. After the song was over, I was like, man, I can't even hate, man. You know, whoever that was had bars. And he was like, yeah, that's Promise. So I was like, really? All right. And so we all went together to a studio in Rock Hill at a man named Vic's house. Dropped a lot of music over there. And then we just ended up rapping after that, man. The wild thing is, like, you know, Promise is much more than just an MC rap partner to me, man. We actually became real good, and still are real good friends, because, you know, we realized that outside of the rap life, we had a lot in common, but we were vastly different. You know,
Mhm.
I grew up in the capital city of South Carolina. He grew up in Clinton, South Carolina, which is a much smaller, more rural setting. And we would go there and just compare the differences and the nuances between life and how we came up. And we put that all in music. And we dropped about 3 albums together. And actually, you know, I was privileged enough to have him on this one. You know, we got together and made music on Free Will, the LP, a song called Back on My Grind.
Right. Yeah, which I was gonna kind of tap into it when we do the album breakdown, but just talk about the metamorphosis that has taken place for you, not only as an MC but as a man since then.
Since college, you mean? Since the rap game with
Right.
college?
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, I'm sure a lot of people, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, why I just started rapping, or people who haven't known me in the past, new coworkers or students. They're like, you know, why'd you start rapping now? You know, you're 39 years old. And I want to tell them, man, I've been rapping for, you know, almost 2 decades now. But a lot of that music that I did back in the day, I had to take off the internet, you know, because when we were rapping young, you know, there was a lot of immature music that we had out there, a lot of things that I'm glad never made it to the light of day, because, you know, it was just me speaking as a 19, 20, 25-year-old individual that I wouldn't want people to hear now. So as I've gotten older, I just realized the importance of trying to keep things clean, should I say, keep things provocative, thought provocative, and not just make music that's solely there to just rhyme, should I say. So the metamorphosis has been more of putting more meaning behind my music. One of the enjoyable things that I liked about rapping with Promise was he would always say, you got to keep the entertainment factor in mind. People don't want to just be spit bars at all the time. They want to be entertained, which is something that I struggle with because I'm just a hip hop bar you to death type of dude. I don't really want to do too much entertaining and dancing and gyrating on stage. But yeah, that's been the growth, man. That's been the growth to just make as the music has matured, the subject matter has matured. More of my life experiences I'm able to incorporate into the music and look at it from the vantage point of a 39-year-old versus a 20-year-old.
Okay. Well, talk about the difference between being an MC and an artist and the complexities of blending the two.
Mm. You know, artist. So I had the privilege, man, of working with, one of the best producers that I've ever had a chance to work with. I was introduced to him last year. His name is 4-5, and he produced 7 tracks on this new album. But once I was introduced to him, and I give him a lot of credit for this album because he was the one who pushed me and continued to push me to get it done. But he would always say that he likes music and he wants music to paint pictures. Like when he listens to it, he wants to be able to visualize exactly what it is the artist is talking about. And so I think, that was one of the things that I worked on. A lot of the things I tried to visualize as I wrote them, not just give you bars that rhyme that you can't see, but you can only hear. But like if you close your eyes and lean back, you can actually see pictures, vivid imagery of what I'm talking about. And I think that may be one of the staunch differences between a MC and an artist, is the fact that you're actually painting pictures and people can see your words and hear them versus just hearing them.
All right, so let's get into Free Will finally.
Well, the LP, yeah.
So how did you come up with the album title, and just talk about the meaning behind it?
Oh yeah, well, I always like to incorporate my name into my titles, man. So my first album was called Where There's a Will, There's a Way. My second album was called Last Will and Testament. And so this one is entitled Free Will. And this basically boils down to the fact that I gave up a lot of, my creative spirit. I gave up a lot of my creative spirit, a lot of my time to focus on myself professionally. I gave everything to my professional career because I didn't think that having the image of a rapper aligned with what I was trying to do professionally. Like, how can I work in this corporate setting as this corporate guy, and then students and people are walking up to me like, "Hey, I heard your rap album, or I saw your video." I struggled with that because as I climbed the ladder, I knew how important perception was. So I really hung up rap. Like I said, I gave up rap until I met 4-5. I really hadn't planned on putting out another album. But Free Will, is really about liberating myself from all that, man. Liberating myself from worrying about the perception of others, liberating myself from writing a certain genre or a certain type of music, liberate myself from using a certain type of beat, not being able to present myself the way that I think I should be presented because I'm worried about what other people are seeing. I just want to be free from all those chains, man. There's so many chains out here, from work relationships to money to all kind of hurdles. And Free Will is really a title and an album. It talks about liberating myself from all of those chains and hurdles that I've had to climb over.
All right. So granted, we've had private conversations on this subject matter during the pandemic, but when I saw the title and then I listened to the full length last night, I wrote down that it seems like you're relinquishing the chains of living your life to satisfy others and embracing being unapologetically Will.
Oh yeah. Hey man, that sounds good. I might need to coin that, man. I might need to write that actually. Put that on the caption, But yeah, and I don't want to I don't want to classify living for others as a bad thing. I tell people ask me all the time why I got I got my doctorate. And I always tell them, I got my doctorate from my father. I wanted my father to be proud. I know how heavy he is in academics, and he has his PhD also. So I wanted to make sure that I lived for him per se, and made him proud with what we had going on. Um, and I did that, and I did that. And there are a lot of things that I've done, for others. And I think those are um, beautiful souls and beautiful people who are able to put themselves second, third at times and prioritize other people. So I don't want to, you know, speak negatively about that. But, I've reached a point in life where I'm ready to prioritize myself, my goals and my dreams. Like we were talking in hindsight, man, if the more I think about it, I probably should have put off college a year or two, maybe 3 years to go out and pursue this music thing or pursue some real dreams that I had. College would have, but I was going to college because that was the trajectory that I was put on. And same thing with my professional career now. There's certain things that I'm supposed to be doing to climb the ladder to get here, to get there. And I'm sure when I put out this album, a lot of high ranking people, within my profession are looking like, so we have a rapper here, the rapper has negative connotations. Let me listen to it. But yeah, man, I'm freeing myself from all that. This is Will P. This is who you see. This is what you get. And if you don't like it, you'll be all right.
Okay. So just talk about the collaborations we've already touched on, having Promise on the album and 4-5 doing half the album. So just talk about some of the other features.
Yeah, man. Once again, shout out to Fo. Me and Fo we got some more work coming out. We ain't stopping. He was actually just here a few weeks ago. We're in the man cave, but yeah, he was here a few weeks ago. We were working on some heat together. But um, a lot of the Winthrop connections held strong in this album. There's a guy on there named King I Divine who is a amazing dope producer out of Atlanta right now, but he's from New York, and he kind of has this unspeakable synergy between hip hop and down south music, and the balance. It's a synergy that is it's amazing. I mean, if you listen to Indebted Alumni, the way he's able to merge an MOP sample in there,
I noticed that.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna touch on that.
Yeah, where he did that with all of the things I did. He did that with Black Geometrics, and he did that with Free Will, the song itself. And so, he's definitely a good artist to work with, but he's married to a Winthrop alumni. So, through following her, I was able to find him and find his music, man, and able to get some production there that I really enjoyed. We got Victoria from Winthrop, who was on the LP singing on our track "We'll Be All Right." She came through and was definitely fun to work with. Then we got the agent, Antoine from Winthrop, who was he produced the track with Promise and I called Back on My Grind. Always a dope producer to work with. Then Alexis Bria, who is a young and upcoming artist out here in Columbia, South Carolina. I got to check her out. She was on the last track on the Major Moves. She's doing big things out here and getting her name out here. So she's dope. And then I got a chance to rap with Dan Danger. I've been wanting to collab with Dan Johns for quite a while now out of Florence, South Carolina. I've been watching Dan rock since the New Brooklyn Tavern, since the late 90s, early 2000s.
Exactly.
He's always someone who I thought was dope lyrically. I always wanted to go ball for ball with him, to see how it would come together. It came together dope though, man. It's actually one of my favorite joints.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the highlights for me as well. And yeah, like you said, we all kind of crossed paths with Dan during those days at New Brooklyn Tavern, and he's collaborated with Eclipse on
Mhm.
many occasions. And you happen to appear on the Divine Sons album, the group
Yeah,
that he's a
yeah.
part of.
Yeah, it was this crazy story actually. So I sent Dan the song that we did for this album, On the Move, and I just sent him the hook and my verse, and then I left his 16 blank, for him to spit, and then the hook again. And so he hit me back. He was like, "Hey man, you got busy, man. You need to hop on the Divine Sons album." And I was like, "All right, yeah, definitely." And when I heard those boys, man, I've been following them for a minute. Since they put out Measure of a Man on a CD that I thought was a real dope track. you know, I was honored to be able to rock with them, man. They're very humble, very dope, talented group of guys. You know, we had their album release party, and so they let me rock on one of their albums that they just put out. Y'all check that out too if you haven't had a chance to peep it yet.
All right. Yeah. Shouts to Dan, who also appeared on Stop Look and Listen in
Yeah,
2020. So
yeah.
yeah, let's highlight a few other songs off Free Will. You can talk about the inspiration or a dope bar that you spit on there. Let's start with the lead single, Free Will. My favorite song on the album.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to King God Divine and Stacy on the hook, man. Stacy C, she's from around Columbia too, man. Very soulful singer. Um, yeah, man. When it took me, that's probably the song that took me the longest to write because I was playing with the syllables a lot in that song, man. Hip hop, I was saying things like you on the hills of a hill of medicine, medican, medigan, and I was doing that all throughout the song, playing off of syllables and trying to align them up just right. But that was definitely one of my most difficult songs to write and deliver. I did
Mhm.
that. I recorded that out in Clinton, South Carolina with Superfloyd, 1G, who's also a dope producer um, that I worked with. But he had to do a lot of chopping on that song, man. We must have stayed in there about 3 hours working on the song Free Will. But that's the title track. It's a soulful track. It speaks a lot towards current events. A lot of what I deal with as an artist. When I speak about being a corporate corner office product, but no different than a hustler on the corner trying to office product. It's a similar struggle. And the bars in there talk more about life as it is and life as we wish it to be. But yeah, it was a lot. That was a fun song to write, man. I like a lot of the syllables in the bars. Like I should be nominated for a Pulitzer Prize because as soon as I Pulitzer Prize, they were full of disguises. So I'm glad you got into it, man. It's
Oh,
it's it's one of my favorites too.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's touch on Black Geometrics.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
there's a lot of dope wordplay using geometric shapes.
Yeah. Shout out to King God Divine again on that production. But yeah, Black Geometrics, man, I wrote that actually um summer 2020. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina on vacation for like a week. And I was on downtown on the river, man, and I would go up to the river every morning. So it took me about 4 days to write that song, Black Geometrics. Um, and yeah, I was writing that about a lot of. I was thinking about shapes for some reason. I was out there looking over the water and seeing squares and circles and triangles, and somehow that just all came together. Um, but yeah, that's also another lyrical song, which is what I was trying to make sure I had a healthy balance of there. I wanted lyricism and rap, should I say,
Uh-huh.
to make sure they shone on both sides of the album.
Okay. So one more of my highlights. Um, the intro.
Mm,
You started it with most that want to go the distance can't find the range. The way
mm,
that they hating is just a sign of pain.
yeah. Nowadays, it's crazy how they define the game. Question whether you really not like climate change. Yeah, man, that intro, Dilly got it bumping, made that beat. But that intro there, I wanted a song where I didn't have to write a hook and I could just go on for the length of the song. But that song that's supposed to bring the album in the right way so that people can know what type of album they're about to get, what they're about to listen to and what they're about to hear. But when you want to go, to start off the beginning line, everybody wants to go the distance, man. Everybody wants to go from the start to the finish, but you got to pace yourself. And the hardest part is finding the ranges within that pace. Sometimes you go full speed the first few kilometers and then you run out of gas, so you have a hard time finding a range. And I've had that happen in this rap game, with me personally, wanting to be a lifelong MC, and now I'm struggling. I would do music for 3 years, then stopped, and do music for 2 years, then stopped. And so trying to find a range and pacing myself within the game was one of the things that I struggle with. And there's a lot of personal stuff on this LP. If you can listen to it, I talk a lot about losing friends, a lot about losing money, A lot about the corporate grind, a lot about struggling with diversity and all of this and all of that. So the way that they hating is just a sign of pain.
Yeah.
Hurt people, as they say.
Yeah. So sleepwalkers, you was
Mm.
calling out those halfway woke allies.
Yeah, the half
So
woke folks.
yeah. And I think it sort of ties into what you were saying earlier in the interview about being unapologetically will and
Mhm.
no longer concerning yourself with what your employers, are going to think about. We have a rapper here, and that might sort of lead to you getting blackballed somewhat. So
Yeah.
just talk about your experience with the sleepwalkers and how um, it could become problematic, possibly in the future.
Yeah, I'm shocked that that song hasn't gotten as much notoriety as I thought it would, man. I thought a lot of people would be feeling that song, but in the feedback that I've gotten, no one ever mentions that. But that's one of the most relevant songs, I think at the times because um, I'm noticing a lot of fake woke people who are all, shouting and when I wrote that song, that was at the height of what was going on in our country, man, with George Floyd and the killing of unarmed black men and, the major protests. I actually uh, thought of the concept of that song while marching, on State House grounds uh, last summer, 2020. But I've run into a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm here, and they want to show you and tell, they want to tell you that they're here and all for diversity, and they want you to be successful and blah blah blah. But then the conversation stops. We always talk about talk being cheap or action speaking louder than words. Like, I always wanted to call them out for saying, coming and telling me that you're not a racist, or coming and telling me that you support black people in their movement. To me, that's less than 0.5% of the battle. And I want people to know that if you're going to be a true advocate, or if you're going to be a true ally for African Americans in the cause, that you can't stop with dialogue. Don't confuse dialogue with action. And if you are dialoguing, then make sure you're dialoguing consistently and dialoguing vehemently, on behalf of people who are marginalized in the city, like in the country. If you are with a group of your friends at a water cooler and a black guy walks by, you don't even speak to him, or you don't even know the black people that you work with, but you're so quick to go out and protest after an unarmed black man is tragically killed by the police officers, then to me, you're being fake. You fake woke out here. You're not even treating the black people that you see every day. You know what I'm saying? With respect or with kindness, or trying to make sure that they're all right. But when one of them who you don't know gets killed, you create an uproar. And to me, I want you to be woke more often than that. So that's why I wrote that song.
All right. Once again, this is the Artist Spotlight with Will Peasy. New album, Free Will, available now. So we sort of had this text conversation earlier when you responded to, my favorites on the album. And I sort of see that you stepped out of your comfort zone and hopped on some trap beats. Is it more of a challenge to come with bars of substance on trap beats? Um,
Yeah, no, man, the bars are the bars, So the thing that I've done lately as an artist, man, is like I write bars in my phone. I just got bars, I just got punchlines like stacked in my phone. And when I get a beat, I can get a lot of the content off my phone and put it just to flow. But 4-5, as versatile as he is, man, like his underground trap bounce music, man, is something that just I was like, even if I knew the beat wasn't me, I was like, yeah, man, I gotta have that one. I got about 20 or 30, 4-5 beats that are real trap like that. I didn't make the album, but it wasn't challenging, man, but I will say it's fun to do. And I think that's, like I was telling you earlier in the text messaging, man, that's a wave or a lane that I'm really trying to be in and get into, create, should I say, is putting thought-provoking conscious stuff over trap music. You be dancing and bouncing, not even knowing you're being preached to, so
yeah,
Dead Prez, one of my favorite groups, had a lot of dark beats. A lot of their beats were dark in nature, but they weren't necessarily trap. So now that they got something called soulful trap that's out right now, and I'm gonna bring this conscious trap thing in, and the more I can get on it.
Nice. So do you see that as an experiment just to, test your listeners to see like the ones that are on their lyrical tip, whether they can listen to lyricism with trap beats or those that are like that love their trap music, whether they can tolerate the medicine that is in that song.
Yeah, yeah. I'm getting a lot of feedback, man. Thankful to everybody who's listening. Um, a lot of them are new because they never heard me go over beats like that before. So I think they're trying to get used to the fact that I'm rapping over these trap, grimy, bounce beats. Um, but I think it'll catch, man. I think the more I do it, the more people will really get to see exactly what's going on. Um, but I also, I like the hip hop too, so it's tough. But I hope listeners appreciate. I'm still collecting feedback. The album dropped yesterday. People have been texting me, they've been calling me, they've been writing me, and I'm welcoming it all. I'll keep y'all posted on that.
Okay.
You let
So
me know. You let me know what you think. As you comparing the two, as you hear Black Geometrics versus a What You Know, or a Free Will versus the Rules, running it up type thing. What are you thinking?
I mean, me personally, I like my trap music. Of course, I love my New York boom bap, and I love my strip club type music too. Um, whether I enjoy them all in a pot of jambalaya together, I haven't quite come to that conclusion yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but like I said, my ears are mature enough to where I can tolerate it.
yeah,
And like I said, your lyricism is always top notch, regardless. Which
yeah,
tied into my main question earlier about separating the MC versus the artist. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, so I think one of the main goals that we have with this project and everybody that I was working with was to have something that could be played on the radio. In all of my career, I've never pushed for that, man. I've never pushed to have a single. All the albums that I've put out, I've never had something that I've took down to the radio station and was like, "Yo, here, play this." You know what I'm saying? And even some people who heard Free Will, the song that you said is your favorite, say that it sounds like it's from the '90s. You know what I'm saying? It's old hip hop music. And so if I'm presenting something to a modern day A&R or a modern day disc jockey or radio host, they want to hear something that was more contemporary in nature, which may be trap bouncy type of stuff. So I wanted to make sure that we covered all those bases, just in case the producers or artists I work with wanted to actually hear their things, on the mainstream.
okay. So I want to ask you about a quote that you posted recently, and I honestly wanted to call you the same day that you posted it. Eh,
Uh-oh, let's go.
because I felt like we're due to have a debate like we used to when it came to Aquemini and AT aliens. How we used to debate that all the time.
Yeah.
So you said humility is respected, but
Mhm.
arrogance is rewarded.
Mhm.
Do you believe that?
With 100% of everything inside me, I believe that, man. You know, I don't know if you all follow if you follow Cam Newton, but Cam Newton, I think maybe a year ago after he left the Panthers, he was in the weight room working out, and he was saying, "I'm tired of being humble. Being humble, people take advantage of you. People look over you. People don't treat you with the same level of recognition, respect that you deserve." And so I see a lot of humble people, and that quote was mainly for the professional environment, because I see a lot of humble people, who get taken advantage of, who don't get promoted when they should, who don't get raises that they should. But you see people who are arrogant, or you know, feel more entitled in nature, that know how to decorate their own Christmas tree a little better, know how to be a little better cheerleaders for themselves and say, well, I did this and I did that, or I deserve this. And, those people tend to get looked at with a little more admiration. They tend to be a little successful in climbing the ladder. I always ask people, when is the last time you've seen an unsuccessful, arrogant person?
Hmm.
you know, you, t- you tell me the last time you've seen someone who's arrogant, unsuccessful. But Then tell me the last time you've seen an unsuccessful, humble person. You know?
Okay. So my thoughts on it is, I think I think humility mixed with talent will get you recognized and blessed abundantly by the right people. Arrogance forces you to bring your A game nonstop because people will prey on your downfall.
What was the first thing you said about humility plus talent will get you recognized by the right people?
Yeah, I think if you have humility and talent,
Mm-hmm.
then it will get recognized.
Right, right.
Versus someone that is arrogant. When you're arrogant and outspoken and pat yourself on the back, then you're bringing attention to yourself, which
Mm-hmm.
forces you to perform at an A plus level all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you start to go downhill, you will hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts unwanted pressure on yourself to be
Right.
excellent.
But you made
Um,
it, but you made it to the top of the hill.
Maybe, like, a lot of these people haven't made it to the top of the hill, but
That's
they're
what I
arrogant.
that's what I asked. Like, who's the arrogant person that doesn't make it to the top of the hill?
I think in today's landscape, most of the people are arrogant and just for the sake of being arrogant, and they haven't really made it anywhere. I don't.
Yeah, I don't meet people like that. I mean, even in the rap game, or I don't want to call names or put people out there like that, but I think people who are arrogant, um, people who are loud, people who like to talk about themselves, they're the ones who get the attention. If you look at if you look at the majority of celebrities, there's an amazing actor that not everybody has seen him. I don't know if you know him. His name is Bokeem Woodbine.
Oh, of
I
course.
think he played on like Poetic Justice. You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. Yeah,
But he
sure.
said, and he played on
Strapped and
yeah, the last movie.
Jason's lyric.
Yeah, not Poetic Justice. I'm sorry, that's one I'm in Jason's lyric. And the one that just came out with the couple that killed a police officer and died. I forgot what it's called. It was a movie. But anyway, he said that, he's a celebrity that's been acting for years and he's not this popular celebrity like, let's say, a Will Smith or a Denzel. And he was saying all the time, like, if you can't pander to the media, if you can't find a way to make yourself always notable or always noteworthy or always somebody that's in the limelight, you're going to struggle in the industry. And I think that's why you see a lot of artists. I mean, look at the music game these days when people in every video you see have 100 guns and $70,000 in cash money in their hands and showing it all over the place because they know that that level of arrogance or that level of perceived success brings about more attention. The humble rappers, if you give me a list of rappers who are humble and don't live like that, they don't get that type of internet attention.
Well, I think the humble. Well, we'll do hip hop. The humble rappers, I think, for the most part, have a longer shelf life. A lot of these arrogant rappers, like, they're fly by nights because their downfall is steep and severe. Like, I'm trying to think of a rapper that's arrogant and then, like, they start dropping duds, or they get into a relationship that um they may the woman may go off and cheat on them or something like that, and it doesn't end well for them. But the
Yeah,
humble,
and
the,
I never said that it ends well. I just said that they're rewarded. So those arrogant rappers are platinum successes. Humble rappers may not even see platinum status. They may not even see gold status. But these arrogant rappers become one-hit wonders. They get to the top. They become millionaires. They may lose it all. They may fumble it, but they've at least made it to a place where they could be deemed successful in the game. And I guess that goes to your point is, what kind of artist do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want one with a long shelf life, longevity, or do you want to say that you are a platinum selling artist in the game?
yeah, I mean, because I feel like arrogant people toot their own horn all the time, but
Hmm.
people with humility let their work or other people toot their horn for them. So it's like, what side would you rather be on?
That's
Someone that,
dangerous. That's dangerous. I've realized in the professional landscape that's dangerous. I've realized you got to paint you have to decorate your own Christmas tree, man, because who else is going to do it for you? And worst off, if you're depending on others to do it for you, they may decorate it incorrectly. They may put the ornament in the wrong place. They may put the star at the bottom of the Christmas tree. If you aren't out here being your own cheerleader And if you aren't out here selling yourself, which may, some people say it's not arrogance, it's confidence, but I think that's a thin line to straddle. But if you're not out here doing that, man, and you're relying on others to do it, I think that's when you get looked over.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a fine line, I feel. Like you can put your work out there to the masses without, coming across as, I'm the best rapper ever, or no one can mess with me on any level and get me on a track with Jay-Z and I'll ether him or something like that. I think there's ways to go about it without coming across as arrogant.
Yeah, I mean, it may be, but I look at it like this: who's the king of the South?
Well, people say
It's,
Ti.
and
People
he
say
came
Ti.
and he came out saying that when he was 19, and he has always said he was arrogant. And Tip is very arrogant when it comes to this rap thing. And when you think of who was saying they were the king of rap, still one of the most legendary artists in Biggie. And, people calling themselves kings and people calling themselves the best to ever do it. Those are the type of people that get. I look at somebody like Tariq Trotter. I have never heard Black Thought go on wax saying or go out here saying I'm the best to ever do it. I'm the best rapper ever. I've never heard. Now, granted, he has longevity just like Hov, but nobody talks about that.
Oh, I think a lot of people recognize Black Thought as like a top 20 MC. I think so.
Yeah, but we were talking about this multi-platinum level of success. If you compare him to the arrogant rappers that we're talking about, what would you say?
But I think that's where maybe we don't see eye to eye. So like I'm a person where I don't care about being popular, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now there's a lot of people that they don't have the talent, but they may be popular. And I'm saying in the long run, that's not sustainable. If you don't have the talent, then your loudmouth antics won't get you too far.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can be successful in the rap game and not be popular. I think that in the entertainment industry, you have to be popular if you want to attract millions of fans and have, sold out shows and records. So popularity is something that you push for if you're going to be in the entertainment business. Um, and I'm honestly starting to believe that a lot of artists in the game don't want a long shelf life. I'm starting to believe they want a brief window to get their money, to milk the game for what it is and get out. Like you can actually name the rappers with longevity these days. It's a very short list. But the one hit wonders and the short window rappers, that list is endless.
Okay. Well, I'm saying most of these one hit wonders are doing love and hip hop, like reality show. Whereas a lot of the artists with longevity, their careers have spawned into other areas, whether it's acting or doing hit podcast or running
Do you,
businesses.
do you think that's success though? Like being on Love and Hip Hop? How many people get to do that? I
I
mean,
mean,
I
I
can
mean
see.
that the eye is. I mean, it's in the eyes of the beholder, whether
Yeah.
that's successful or not. I mean, it's a check. Well, and if that's what you deem as success is getting a check, then cool.
And
But
I think
if
that's
you
where the
move,
game
if
is.
you move within, if you move with integrity, or at the end of the day, when you're 15, 20 years older, and you look back, like you were saying earlier in the interview about removing some of your music, then yeah, that would be a problem. I don't want to be on a reality show, getting into fights with random people that they pay me to hang out with. I mean, that's not real. That's not moving authentically.
It,
I,
it's not. It's not. And and that's the thing with the rap game, man, that a lot of people have been saying lately, like, or been saying for a long time. Like artists rap about drugs and guns all the time and don't live that life. Or artists will sit there with these tens of thousands of dollars in their hands and know that they're broke. A lot of people got to fake it till you make it type of approach. A lot of people, and the sad thing is that's what I'm saying. I think that is the successful approach. Like one of the things that one of the biggest uh, moments in hip hop history for me was Redman's MTV Crib segment.
right.
When he brought them in, he had a screen door, and he opened it, the screen door had a hole in it. He was like, look, this is my life. This is how I live. But you look at the other people, they got these $1 million cribs and pools and they couldn't do that. There's something about flashiness and being arrogant and doing all that I think brings attention to artists these days. Whether that's good or bad attention, I think that's subjective. There's a phrase that says all press is good press, but yeah.
Okay.
I want the listeners to comment in on that.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to pull this clip and have it circulate.
Yeah.
So what's next for Will Peasy? Was Free Will a one-off to kind of scratch an itch, or you gonna go full throttle into the music again?
Yeah, man, I'm really gonna try to push this year. I want to work with a few other producers that are in the pipeline, man. There's my man Bricks out of Chester, South Carolina, who produced Sleepwalkers. Actually, man, he got a lot of heat that I want to get down with. And me and 4-5 are obviously still working, but I want to put out another mixtape, man, this year. But I'm going hard, man, before 40. I'll be 40 this year, in July. And it's really gotten to a point in life where I'm just doing what I enjoy. Like I said, I gave a lot of my time and effort to my career and my professional appearance. And now I'm getting over that hump, should I say, and wanting to get back into the things that I enjoy doing. So, I'm doing a lot of music. I'm doing a lot of chess. I'm doing a lot of investing, working on, financial independence, and doing a lot of other stuff outside of just being this 9-to-5 tunnel vision dude. So Will Peasy got a lot that he's into, man, in these next couple of months.
All right. Well, plug your socials and tell everyone where they can purchase Free Will.
Yeah, man, y'all check me out on Instagram, Will Peas, Will_Peas. On Facebook, William Nelson. You can get the Free Will LP on Google Music, on iTunes, on Bandcamp. You should be able to get it on any streaming service. But check me out. Let me know what you think. Hit me back.
All
Free
right.
Will the LP out now. I want to shout out good old boys, man. Thank you, Troy, man, for coming out here doing this interview with me, man. Let me talk about the LP and what I see.
No problem. You always have a invitation to share whatever you need whenever you need to.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right. Well, for Artist Spotlight, I'm your host, LaTroy Gardner. See you next time. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for checking us out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more great content. And don't forget to check us out on social media at GOB Radio Network.